It was supposed to be a nostalgic and respectful appearance when Clint Eastwood agreed to sit down with Stephen Colbert on The Late Show. Known for his legendary career spanning decades in Hollywood and politics, Eastwood rarely makes late-night appearances. So, when it was announced that he'd be joining Colbert, expectations were sky-high. Fans anticipated insightful stories about filmmaking, the evolution of cinema, and his personal reflections. The atmosphere inside the studio was buzzing, and when Eastwood walked onto the stage, he was met with thunderous applause. Calm, composed, and every bit the icon, Clint gave a polite smile and took his seat beside Colbert. The opening exchange was cordial. Colbert complimented Eastwood on his latest directorial work and his ability to stay active in Hollywood at an age where most have long retired. Eastwood responded with humility, sharing a story about his daily routine, his passion for storytelling, and how staying creative is what keeps him going. The crowd listened attentively. For the first several minutes, the interview went exactly as expected. Colbert tossed a few light-hearted jokes Clint's way, and Eastwood handled them with ease, even delivering a few witty lines of his own. But as the conversation progressed, Colbert began shifting toward more controversial territory. Out of nowhere, Colbert brought up Clint's infamous speech at the 2012 Republican National Convention, where he addressed an empty chair symbolizing then-President Obama. "So Clint," Colbert said with a grin, "do you talk to any furniture lately?" The crowd gave a mixed reaction as some chuckled awkwardly, others went quiet. Eastwood's expression stiffened slightly. "That was over a decade ago," he said plainly. "We all do things differently, especially when it comes to messaging." Colbert pressed on, referencing criticisms Eastwood faced after that speech and hinting at the political undertones in some of his recent films. That's when the tension really began to build. Eastwood replied in his typical calm but firm manner, saying, "I make movies to tell stories, not to teach politics. If people see something deeper, that's on them, not me." Colbert smirked, trying to keep the tone light, but it was clear he was digging for a reaction. "But don't you think artists have a responsibility?" Colbert asked. "When you make films like American Sniper or Richard Jewell, you're shaping public opinion, aren't you?" Eastwood's eyes narrowed. "I don't tell people what to think. I present reality from my perspective. It's called art, not activism." The audience sensed the growing discomfort, shifting restlessly in their seats. Still not letting go, Colbert asked, "So if you had the chance, would you do that chair thing again?" Eastwood exhaled slowly and looked directly at Colbert. "Is this a film interview or a political tribunal?" he asked, his voice now tinged with agitation. "Because if I wanted to be lectured, I wouldn't be sitting here." Colbert laughed nervously, attempting to backtrack. "Hey, it's just late-night talk, nothing personal." But the damage was already done. Eastwood crossed his arms, his jaw visibly tight. He wasn't playing along anymore. The audience could feel the temperature drop in the room. Trying to regain control, Colbert quickly shifted topics, asking about Eastwood's views on cancel culture and how it affects creative freedom. "It's just accountability, right?" he added. Clint's reply was direct. "No. It's fear. People are scared to speak freely. That's not accountability, that's control." The crowd was divided in their response. Some clapped, others murmured. Colbert tried to lighten the mood with a joke about getting cancelled himself, but Eastwood wasn't laughing. He leaned forward and said, "Stephen, I didn't come here to spar. I came here to talk about filmmaking, the craft I've dedicated 60 years to. If you're more interested in sound bites, maybe you should have invited a pundit instead." At that moment, Colbert looked visibly uncomfortable. It was rare to see a guest push back so directly on his own turf. The energy in the studio had shifted completely. No longer a charming interview, this was quickly becoming a battle of principles. Colbert attempted to bring up Eastwood's early westerns as a way to steer the conversation back to neutral ground. But Eastwood wasn't in the mood for nostalgia anymore. "I've got a lot of respect for this audience," he said, "and for people who appreciate storytelling. But I won't sit here and be cross-examined like I'm on trial for having an opinion." Colbert, still trying to hold things together, said, "Clint, we love you. You're a legend. But you know we do a bit of everything here. Some jokes, some politics, Some serious talk." Eastwood responded sharply, "Then maybe stick to the jokes. They're safer." The room erupted in awkward laughter, but it was clear the atmosphere had soured. Eastwood adjusted his blazer and glanced off stage. He seemed done, not just with the interview, but with the entire show. The air was thick with discomfort, and for the first time in the night, Colbert didn't have a witty comeback ready. With little warning, Clint reached down, removed his microphone, and stood up. "I think that's enough," he said. The audience gasped, unsure of what was happening. Colbert stood too, holding out a hand. "Come on, Clint, don't walk out. We've still got a few minutes left." But Eastwood didn't take the hand. "I don't mind tough questions," he said firmly, "but I do mind disrespect." "You invited Clint Eastwood and tried to get a headline. Well, you got one." And with that, he walked off stage, leaving Colbert standing alone. The cameras awkwardly cut to a commercial break. News of the dramatic walk-off hit the internet within minutes. Clips of the confrontation went viral across platforms. Some viewers supported Colbert, saying he was just doing his job, while others rallied behind Eastwood, praising him for standing his ground and refusing to be baited. Hashtags like #EastwoodWalks and #ColbertAmbush began trending. Meanwhile, media analysts debated whether the incident was staged for ratings or an unscripted clash of old-school values versus modern media tactics. Either way, it had become the biggest talk show moment of the week. Colbert addressed the incident in this following night's monologue, trying to downplay it with humor. "Clint Eastwood walked off my show. I guess he made my day." The audience laughed, but it felt forced. He added, "We may have hit a nerve, but we meant no disrespect." Some viewers appreciated the attempt at reconciliation, while others accused Colbert of being smug. Eastwood, on the other hand, remained silent for days. His reps declined to comment, further fueling speculation about his thoughts and whether he'd ever appear on late night again. When Eastwood finally did break his silence during a podcast interview, his words were brief but telling. "I've been in this industry a long time," he said. "I've dealt with directors, critics, and fans, but I've never had to deal with someone pretending to be a friend just to score points. That's not showbiz, that's politics." His comments reignited the debate, and once again, the internet exploded with both praise and critique. Some called it a masterclass in setting boundaries, while others argued that public figures should be more open to all kinds of questions. Surprisingly, the incident didn't hurt Eastwood's reputation, it strengthened it. His next film saw a boost in attention, and fans turned out in droves to support a man they saw as principled and unapologetically himself. Colbert, meanwhile, continued to host nightly with his usual mix of satire and charm, but the Clint Eastwood interview became an unshakable blemish. It served as a reminder that not every guest will play along, and not every segment can be salvaged with the punchline. The night Clint walked off would be remembered as a cultural moment. In the end, the confrontation was more than just a clash between host and guest. It symbolized the broader cultural divide between old-school stoicism and modern-day provocation, between mutual respect and media opportunism. Clint Eastwood may have left that stage early, but he left with his dignity intact, and whether people agreed with him or not, they couldn't deny that he remained true to himself. In a world where so many bend to fit the moment, Eastwood reminded everyone what it looks like to stand firm, even under bright lights and sharper tongues. What started as a routine promotional interview became an unforgettable spectacle. The walk-off was not just about politics or provocation, it was about principle. And as the dust settled, both Colbert and Eastwood returned to their respective worlds, changed in ways perhaps only they truly understand. The audience, meanwhile, was left to decide for themselves. Was it courage, stubbornness, or simply authenticity? Whatever the answer, it's a moment that will echo in late-night lore for years to come. Clint Eastwood walked away, but he didn't walk out quietly.